Got a question for you. If the trains stop running, freight trains specifically, if freight trains stop running on Friday, September 16th, how will that affect your business? How does that affect your supply chain? Welcome to Wolf's Watch. I'm Wolf. And as always, as a leader of the pack, I'm scouring the countryside looking for tips, techniques, best practices, things that could be a good heads up you need to pay attention to in order to help you scale up your business in this crazy economic environment that we're all operating in. The reason I ask about the freight trains is there's something coming up that you may have heard about and maybe not. It hasn't been getting a lot of play in a major portion of the press and the media. One thing to consider, Amtrak has already canceled all long distance trains starting Thursday, September 15th. So that's today's Wednesday. That would be tomorrow. The reason they've done that is because there is a looming freight rail strike beginning at midnight on the 16th. Now, if you live in Washington, D.C. or the northeastern, what's called the Northeastern Power Corridors, you don't have to worry. Amtrak will continue service in those areas. Now, if you live west of Philadelphia, you may not be familiar with the Eastern Corridor, as it's called. That is Washington, D.C. and the connection by commuter train, to all of the major cities like Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia, the areas where the politicians and lobbyists live, so that none of those trains will be disrupted. Amtrak has announced that will be fine. If you are going, say, from Chicago to Des Moines, Iowa, you're out of luck. There's going to be no train running. And here's the reason why. There are 10 unions that are negotiating with the freight rail lines to, a new labor contract. And two of those unions have not approved the contract, and in fact, one has outright voted it down and rejected it. So unless there is a contract, unless something's agreed to between right now and midnight on September 16th, there will be a strike that will be supported by all of the other unions that will bring to a stop all of the freight rail lines. And most of Amtrak's trains, long distance trains outside of the Eastern Corridor, make use of freight lines. They lease some of the freight rails and use when there's empty space between freight trains, so they won't be able to run on those tracks. Now, back to the question I had: how will that affect your business if it were to happen? Right? This isn't a gloom and doom presentation. This is a strategic thought exercise. If that were to happen, how would it protect or affect your business? How long would it take to affect your supply chain? Like, for example, most metropolitan areas have at most 30-day supply of food. Most foodstuffs are moved by train at some point. So say within 30 days, a city like Los Angeles could be running into food shortages if all freight rails were to stop that long. How long would it take to affect your supply line? Yeah, this should be something that's addressed right after what happened in 2020, the great lockdown, right? For your 2023 plan, you're including supply chain considerations, correct? Well, let me ask this. You have completed your plan for 2023, haven't you? Look, it's mid-September, right? So anything that you plan and implement now will not be bearing fruit until most likely somewhere in mid first quarter, more, if you're honest, more likely second quarter of 2023. Think about that. How long does that take? If you make a change today, if you do something new today, how long does it take for that to become dollars in your business bank account as a result of sales? And that includes the marketing time. That includes any prep that you need to do before you can actually market the change. If you're doing some new service, some new product, how long it takes to market it, how long it takes to convert that into a sale, how long it takes to collect the money after the sale's been made. Now, if you're an e-commerce czar, maybe you can make a change tomorrow and you're getting money in your bank account the same day. You may want to check that because most credit card gateway companies will give you at least 2 to 3 days. So you can claim it today on paper, but the cash isn't really going to be released to you typically for a couple of days. But that's still pretty quick. So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you as a business owner, professional service, manufacturer, something where you're out making sales and then delivering a product or a service to someone over a period of time. How will that affect you? Depending on where you're living, how will it affect your electricity? Even if you are an e-commerce person, you can't do much e-commerce if the electricity is off. Either your office or wherever the server center is at that you're running your business on, you're most likely using somebody else's server farm. Well, what happens if they can't run? Because we rely much more on trains for moving oil, gas, natural gas, liquefied natural gas. There's that awful dirty coal that still gets used to generate electricity in some areas. So we do that because that is the alternative to pipelines. And, we want to be environmentally friendly, so we can't have any new pipelines. So the trains stop, so those will stop. How are you accounting for that in your plan? If you haven't done a plan yet, why? You really need to be thinking about what might happen in 2023. How are you going to respond to that? How are you going to grow your business? How are you going to scale your business in 2023 if, say, price wars continue? Because of the price pressure, many businesses have been decreasing prices, starting price wars in a lot of markets where we may not expect to see that. Some good news today was that the producer price index eased down from where it's been. So it's still 8.7%. I think was the official number that was released today. And I think because I've seen a couple different sources, but I haven't gone to Bureau of Labor Statistics yet to verify that those reports are correct. But even so, that's a big improvement from the 11% that we saw earlier this year. Still, that's the rate of increase. So it's not going up. Prices aren't going up as fast. The bad news to that is prices to you, wholesale, the stuff you're buying, still going up, right? No, you don't need a news report to tell you that. You already know that. You're dealing with that. But it's, how do you respond to that? What do you think is going to happen and how to respond? How to respond to tightening competition? How to respond to the effects of consumers continuing to pull back on their dollars? How does that affect your sales going forward? What opportunities are going to be so you can seize them, and what things do you need to watch out for that could knock you out of the box? You have to have that in your plan. Right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. The old B-school SWOT analysis sounds cool, but it does give a good framework for looking at what might be coming up, because as you know, when it comes time to implement the plan, it never gets implemented the way that it looks. It looks good on paper, but nothing survives first contact with the enemy, as the military likes to say. And we know the marketplace is dynamic. So are you ready? You ready for Friday? What happens if the trains stop? Will you be ready for that? What happens if it stops for a couple days, couple weeks? Does that start to affect you? Have you really dug in? You've dug into your supply. After what happened in 2020, you've dug into your supply lines, right? And you've thought this stuff through. If you haven't, good luck. Might be a good time to start doing it. If you got questions on that, put them in the comment box. Shoot me an email at info@adventureceo.com. We can talk about it. Glad you're part of the content, part of the conversation here. Trains may or may not stop running on Friday. We'll find out at midnight on Friday. May have, a sudden agreement. We got one union that still hasn't voted. 1 of 10 that's outright rejected it. That could change. We've still got 30 hours to find out. So it's going to be an exciting weekend. Hope you're having an awesome week. Thanks for being part of Wolf's Watch. Glad you're part of the conversation. Smash that like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get more information. And, this is two-way. Put your comments, put your questions into the comment box. We keep track of those. We respond. If I don't have an answer for something, tell you what, I know somebody that will be able to get you a good, competent answer at that. So I'm Wolf. This is Wolf's Watch. Thanks for being part of the conversation. I will see you on the